What's up guys, this is Balázs from Racing Brick. After months of speculation and endless debates over blurry preliminary photos, the cat is finally out of the bag. Sorry for that, I had to say it, now it's much better. So, a couple of days ago there were already photos circulating on the internet coming from a mysterious Facebook marketplace listing, but that was not the source I could use. Yesterday, however, after all these months of silence, LEGO suddenly decided to publish all the details of the 42131 CAT D11 bulldozer without any fuss or fanfares. We did not even get a press release, so it was a bit disappointing as the big reveal. Anyway, we've now got tons of official details about the box, the build itself and the price, so let's go through the details. First of all, let's take a look at the front of the box. The huge dozer almost fills the entire box. This really helps to hide the fact that we don't have the usual Technic box design for heavy machinery with a realistic construction site or mine in the background. This is an 18 plus set now with the black box design, just like the latest Ford Raptor. This again messes up the whole age rating system and concept. So far the 18 plus sets were targeted to casual builders with less functionality and more built for display, and now we have a Control Plus set in this category. Well done LEGO, it was not confusing enough so far, now it's even better. So, besides the bulldozer itself, we have the CAT logo. It also says D11, which is not D11T compared to all the previous listings and information. I'm not an expert in the bulldozer world, but as I checked on CAT's website, the new generation model is simply called D11, and it might have to do something with the unified platform where the same chassis can be used for various purposes. If you know more, or if you actually drive these things, let me know the reasons in the comments. You can also see the Control Plus logo with the smart device on the front. Yep, this is also operated with touch controls. The back of the box shows a side rear view of the bulldozer. There are little smartphone icons scattered around it, apparently showing which elements are remote controlled. There's one icon on the blade at the front, one on the ladder, another one on the treads and a final one on the ripper. That's 4 remote controlled functions altogether. If we take a closer look at the single shank ripper, you can see that only the bottom linear actuators are functional. There seems to be a pair of them on the top as well, but they are actually brick built, so I assume they won't work. This means that the ripper will only go up and down, but there won't be a remote control tilt functionality. As this is a key function, you might say that it could have been more important than a power ladder, but actually the power ladder is an advertised feature of the new generation D11 that comes as a standard, so apparently folks at CAT thought that the ladder is more important to replicate than the tilting ripper. There is a fire suppression system at the back built with the red barrels. This is also a feature that they wanted to emphasize. From this view we can also see some new or recolored pieces of the set. The tread pieces are the most obvious. These are new 7-stud white pieces in yellow color, and there's at least 200 of them in the set as I see. I've seen comments saying that the color is not accurate, as even on the box photos it is clearly visible that the treads are grey. Well, if we check the official photos, the treads actually come from the factory in yellow. I guess the paint comes off quickly on the field, so we can wonder if the same will happen to the LEGO version. That would be a cool hidden feature, wouldn't it? The other sort of new part is the recolored linear actuator. The section that was light bluish grey previously is now black, that matches the design on the real thing, but the end is still dark bluish grey. I understand that this saves a few cents for LEGO as they only need to manufacture one new piece in a new color and it kind of follows their design pattern, but I'm sure a lot of people wish to see an all black version. There are additional photos towards the bottom of the box, and the first one is already quite interesting. This shows a prototype version of the D11, with a lot of details being quite different. As you see, the treads are still dark bluish grey, we have the standard linear actuators, it has the teal spike prime motors towards the rear, but the whole design is actually quite different. There's a different mechanism driving the linear actuators on the side, the structure of the blade is also different, and I'm sure there are also tons of internal differences. Here are 2 photos for comparison from lego.com that shows the building process. Let me know in the comments if you find something interesting. Oh, and the app shown also seems to be the powered up app instead of the Control Plus profile. It's nice to see that the developers actually use it. The second photo shows the LEGO version next to the real one. There are some color differences, but before you grab the keyboard and begin to type how inaccurate the LEGO version is, just remember one thing. Such model is developed together with the license partner, so whatever you see as a result was approved by CAT. There are two additional photos of the real monster and the dimensions of the LEGO version. It is 57 centimeters long and 26 centimeters high. For comparison, the Leaphair, that was the largest Control Plus set so far with a comparable piece count, is 65 centimeters long and 39 centimeters high. I know their structure is quite different, but we can expect a much denser build with the cat. We have a distorted view of the side of the box, but we can see the number of hubs and motors. There's a single Technic hub with 4 ports, 2 large motors, and 2 large angular motors that are called number 15 motors here for some weird reason. LEGO really should clean up the naming conventions for the powered up hardware elements because they are all around the place. The teal version included in Spike Prime is called Large Angular Motor. It was called Large Angular Position Motor in the Volvo Articulated Hauler, and now it's suddenly called number 15 motor. What a mess. Anyway, we get 1 hub and 4 motors. As these large angular motors are quite chunky, it will be interesting to see how they are used in the model. You can actually see them on this photo. They are built in vertically and they apparently drive the rear sprockets directly. This is good news for the agility of the model, as there's no gearbox included in the drivetrain like in the Volvo Hauler. Hopefully this one will be faster than the Leaphair. But it's not that good news for the functions, as apparently the rest of the motors will work similarly as the Volvo Hauler, one driving the functions and the other controlling the gearbox, which will be the function selector, so we will be able to operate only one function at a time. On one of the photos we can actually see the interface of the Control Plus profile. There are the usual very useful features like the speed display, the pitch and roll angle of the hub, a horn, and so on. Regarding the controls, I see a 1-2 selector at the bottom, which might be a simulated speed selector. As we have a direct drive of the tracks, this could simply limit the speed of the motors in the software. There are several other buttons and sliders. I'm not that familiar with dozer controls, so again, if you have some experience, then help me out in the comments. I don't really see a function selector here, so it will be interesting to see how it will work in practice. Will the function selector switch functions automatically when the controls of the blade, the ladder, or the Reaper are used? What if we try to use them at the same time? Anyway, I guess we will have to wait for my full review to find this one out. About the review, I don't have the set in hand yet. The video can be published on the 10th of September. I can stick to the deadline if I get the set soon enough, but I will do my best to have some exciting content to show you when the embargo is over. Here we have some additional photos of the details, and meanwhile, let's talk about the price. It is 450 euros or dollars, which is exactly the same as the Leaphair set. This seems to be fair for the first sight, as they have a similar piece count, but the Leaphair actually has 2 hubs and 7 motors, and we know that those are the components driving up the price of the set in most of the cases. So, similar piece count, but 1 hub and 3 motors less, and same price. This seems to be a pretty bold move from LEGO, and I'm afraid this is the 18 plus tax in action that we could already see on other 18 plus labeled sets. They are also visibly more expensive than their non-18 plus counterparts. I know the price per piece ratio might be misleading sometimes, but here we have a very similar branded set to compare to, and I don't think it will be easy to provide an explanation for the price in case of the Cat D11. We also have to remember that street price after a few months might be very different compared to LEGO's recommended retail price, but I'm really looking forward to build this thing and see if there's any justification for this hidden price increase compared to the Leaphair. Maybe the paint will really come off from the threads and that's an expensive technology to develop. Who knows? Or at least we'll get another set of dark bluish grey threads hidden in the box. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. As always, I would love to know what you think, and if you know more about the real life D11 than me, which is not that difficult, then share your insight as well. Please give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. I would also suggest to smash that subscribe button, and don't forget to tap on the notification bell as well if you don't want to miss my fully detailed building review of this set and other exciting LEGO videos. See you next time, bye bye.